Next is the energy system responses. The role of ATP and resynthesize. ATP is what helps the muscles to contract and is the only thing that allows for muscles to contract in the bonds of iodine triphosphate. These are high energy bonds. This is a type of potential energy that is exothermic reaction. When these bonds are broken, it makes energy that is ATPase. These bonds are now adenosine diphosphate, as there is now only two bonds. This is only a 3-second store of anaerobic energy. When this energy is released, it helps to perform a muscle contraction. This also links to the sliding filament theory and the fact that when the muscles contract, the sliding filament theory, the ATP is found in the myosin arms. The ATP releases energy for it to happen. The fuel available is the energy that is released. It's also not for high intensity sports. A sporting example of this would be a standing broad jump, as it is a quick movement, and an advantage of this is it's a quick energy store that is easily accessed, and a disadvantage is that it only lasts for 3 seconds in an anaerobic activity. ATP needs to resynthesize when the bonds have been broken. This happens when phosphocreatine is produced. PC is what is produced when ADP builds up and initiates the PC to be produced, and when the bond of the PC is broken, the creatine kinase bonds when it breaks. It's an exothermic reaction, and when the energy is present, it's an endothermic reaction. This is a coupled reaction. When the PC energy is released, it lasts for 7 seconds, so in total the ATP-PC store of energy lasts for 10 seconds. It's only used for intense anaerobic activity such as shot put or a header in football. An advantage of this is that the PC store is an energy store that is easily created after the ATP is used. It happens very quickly and energy is released. A disadvantage of this is that the energy doesn't help to be used for anaerobic activity, doesn't help to be used for aerobic activity, still only anaerobic. Moving on to lactic acid system. This is the use of glucose to produce energy glucose. This is found in carbohydrates and fats. The process starts when ATP and PC stores have run out of energy. The body needs it to provide by the lactic acid systems. This system relies on the breakdown of glucose from carbohydrates, which has been stored in the muscles as glycogen. The process by which glucose is broken down to release energy is called glycolysis. This does not use oxygen to break it down and is still an anaerobic activity. It has larger fuel supplies and doesn't burn all the fuel as quickly as the ATP store does. Glucose is broken down by two enzymes called PFK and phosphofunctokinase, and one called LDH or lactate dehydrogenase. ATP are used to fuel glucose and four are created, so the body has a net gain of 2 ATP to use for the muscular contractions. The breakdown of glucose to synthesize ATP results in the creation of pyruvate and hydrogen ions. This is acidic in the muscles, and as the muscles increase, as more hydrogen ions are created. These pyruvic acids then break down to lactic acid and lactate to the hydrogen ions, however, when the glucose goes to pyruvic acid, energy is created where the ATP is then made and the energy for muscular contractions happen. Investigation data analysis for the energy systems, they compare to the theory. They match for figure 4, although the investigation only lasted for 20 seconds. The data analysis correlates with what the theory is saying. This also happens in the multi-stage fitness test, where they also compare to the theory and correlate with what it is saying. During low intensity exercise, the blood lactates stay low, and as the exercise increases, the blood lactate also increases. They both show the same, as they both start from low and increase rapidly, which is what the theory also says. In football, the different energy systems work at different times. For example, when a header happens, ATP energy system is used, as it is a quick movement which only takes about 3 seconds, and so ATP is released and they don't need to access PC for this to happen. However, if a quick sprint for the ball in football happens, this is where the PC system is then used. This would only last for about 7 seconds, as you're only quickly sprinting to the ball. However, running around the pitch in football is an aerobic type of activity. This is where lactic acid system would then be used, as it is less than a minute but longer than 10 seconds, and so the lactic acid system would be accessed. Because the lactic acid system has a larger fuel supply and doesn't burn as quickly, when running is occurring, this is why it's used. Because the PC has a smaller amount of fuel and is burned super quickly, that's why it's only going to be involved in a quick sprint. However, in a header, it's super quick, and that's why ATP is only used, as it only has a small amount of fuel that is initially stored within.